All right, you guys. So, welcome back to another episode of the Rock Bros podcast, where we dive deep into the realms of self development, entrepreneurship, and economic empowerment. I'm your host, Cordell Rocks. And today I got a special guest joining us that promises to bring us insight and enlightenment. So, without further ado, what's going on, my brother Clocksyn? How you doing, brother?
Peace, peace, peace. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Peace to you, Russell family. My name is Clocksyn. I'm an entrepreneur, artist, and author. Do a lot of many things, and I love what the brother is doing. So I'm just here to share my wisdom and my knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Build with the family. That's what we here for
Awesome,
today.
man.
You know what I'm saying?
Awesome, brother.
We in here.
So, man, yeah, today I just wanted to dive into a little bit about crypto,
Okay.
entrepreneurship, business, economic empowerment, around that realm. So I definitely just want to get right into it and ask you, man, how did your journey in the world of crypto get started?
Mm, that's a good question. Okay, so personally, it's crazy because I knew about crypto for the longest time. I was one of those people who was like, oh nah, especially with my pops. When I told him about it, he was like, yeah, don't trust that crypto stuff. That's digital currency. That's not real. That's not, you know what I'm saying? Don't trust it. I knew about cryptocurrency when it was like it was dirt cheap, bro. I'm talking like $400 or $500. It was
Wow.
real cheap. Yeah, I
Are we
knew it
talking
way
about
back.
Bitcoin specifically?
Bitcoin specifically, yeah.
Okay.
Bitcoin specifically, I knew it was like maybe like $1,000. It was cheap, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, my older brother was the one really telling me about it, and I was like, oh, okay, that was cool. I was real young too, obviously, but me and my brother was always into the tech things. He was always into what's new, what's coming out, and he was like, what's this cryptocurrency stuff? I'm like, wow. I told my father, he's like, nah, I don't trust it. So this was some years back, right? I think that was the first time I got introduced to it because my brother just told me about it. But I didn't start getting into it until I maybe 2019, I would say.
Okay.
I was studying some of my financial mentors, and they was telling me about how you need to diversify your income streams, and
Wow.
you got to look at things differently. And one of the topics they brought up was cryptocurrency. I'm like, dang, I heard that before. Cryptocurrency. As most of the people that know me, like I do a lot of extensive research on everything I do. So if I'm studying finance, I'm gonna study every aspect of finance. I'm gonna go, okay, we got Forex, we got stocks, we got bonds, we got, what I'm saying, crypto. I'm gonna study everything. That's just what I do, right? So with crypto, when I got into it, I'm like, okay, what is crypto? How do I even get into it? How do I make money? You know what I'm saying? So, and one of my main job as, I guess, as Clocksyn, right, is to break things down into its simplest terms, right? So once I understand it, I can teach it to other people. So anytime somebody asks me, yo, Clocksyn, what's cryptocurrency? I'm like, okay, that video game Fortnite? It's V-Bucks. That's what cryptocurrency is, basically. It's a digital currency in its simplest level. It's its own network that you can trade digital currency onto from here, peer to peer. You know what I'm saying? That's how that works.
Mm.
So once I got that understanding, it was able to make things way easier. So yeah, that's pretty much how I started with it, really. As far as platforms, because people are like, okay, yeah, you know about it, but like, how does it even work? What do you? Because I hear the term portfolio all the time. It's like portfolio is basically just a platform you use to interact with the crypto. Whether you're just looking at how much you have, if you want to sell it, trade it. So personally, I use KuCoin. That's a portfolio I use for crypto. So yeah, that's when it comes to that. That's where I'm at with it right now. you
Awesome,
know,
bro.
yeah.
Yeah, I think for me as well. I recently got into it in 2020, so I'm class of 2020, right?
Okay.
I had heard rumblings about it 2017, 2018,
Yeah.
but I didn't necessarily make the connection between what was digital and the actual real world.
Yeah.
Um, I just didn't quite see the relevance. And I seen a clip the other day by a guy I follow named Robert Breedlove. He was talking to a woman from Africa, and she told him by 2050, one out of every four Americans will be black. And she
Ooh.
said it's inevitable that Africa will be the ones to adopt Bitcoin the fastest because of the pain that they experience in Africa. So here in America, we're more spoiled. We have the reserve currency. So we're less incentivized to look elsewhere for a currency, right? But if you live in like a Lebanon or Argentina and you walk into the bank and they're asking you, hey, would you like to convert this? Nine
Uh,
times out of 10, you're going to say, yeah, let me convert this to a US dollar because we have the currency that everybody around the world is demanding. And so, I was actually able to make that correlation when I started experiencing that pain for myself,
Uh-huh.
asking myself, like, I'm doing everything right, but I'm still not getting ahead. And, you realize that when you're in a system where the currency is manipulated, the chances of you getting ahead is very slim. So, I want to ask you, man.
Yeah, that's a
um,
fact.
I want to ask you, man, because I know you talk to a lot of bright minds about
Yeah.
self development and spiritual enlightenment. So I want to ask you, like, where does self development and crypto kind of intersect for you? How do you think those two relate?
Well, it all comes down to your perception of it, right? Like I think I touched on this in my book. Finances is very spiritual. Money itself, it's a very spiritual concept. It's currency. Currency is a
Wow.
flow of energy. So when we talk about money in general, not even just crypto, that's a very spiritual thing.
Mhm.
And when we want to talk about mental health and just our well being, we have to approach it from a holistic approach. It's not just,
Mhm.
oh, you eat right and your life is good. No, it's not just that. Oh, you work out and your life is good. No, it's a holistic approach, meaning whole, everything, every aspect of your life. So when you analyze every aspect of your life, what do you need to live, especially in this society? You need currency, you need money. So we have to retrain how we even look at, oh, money is bad. No, 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 no. Money is a tool. You know what I'm saying? And we are supposed to be able to manipulate and control to our best interest to help our families. You know what I'm saying? It's a tool just like anything else. So when it comes to crypto specifically, I would have to say that's just another thing to add to the repertoire. Because like in my book, I think I lay it out in like a three bracket format. Like you
Mhm.
diversify your profits into three brackets. Like your
What's the name of
main,
your book?
the 8 principles of Clocksyn. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's like basically a discipline type book, right? Just get you discipline on your finances, your eating habits, just really how you think, your mental processing power. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's really, really. I'm working on the second edition soon. So first edition is kind of choppy. People have been complaining about the text being too small. So I'm working on the next one. It'll come out soon, y'all. So just y'all wait a little bit.
I'll make sure y'all get that, man. But you were explaining the three layers. What was that?
Yeah, yeah. So the first layer of it is the money you need just to survive, right? Pay the rent, whatever. That's the money you should be focusing a good portion of your finances into, right? And the next portion of it, I would say like 40 to 50% of your profit should be to cover your, what I'm saying, majorities. The second one is to invest, right? So you can grow, because the whole goal of you setting this three bracket thing is to be able to survive and then to be able to live. You know what I'm saying? It's not just, oh, we trying to survive, we're trying to live too, right? So and then the
Hmm.
third one is just like the small leisure, just for the mental health part. Because if you're just working and working and working just to pay the bills all the time, you're gonna go insane. You know what I'm saying? So you need that small buffer to be like, you know what, relax and then get back to it. So I treat everything I do in a holistic approach, even when it comes to money. So if we can retrain our brains to think of money as just a tool in a positive light on something that can actually help our mental health, then we would approach
Hmm.
it like that. We would actually look at money and even just business in general as something that we actually need in our lives. And anybody can necessarily be an entrepreneur. You don't look at it, oh, I can't be an entrepreneur. I can't be a businessman or a businesswoman. That's not me. No, no, no. You got it all wrong. You thinking this is some corporate thing. You got to be some CEO and super good with numbers. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like that. So my goal really is just to break people's perception of it. Think of
Wow.
money as something spiritual, and once you get to that point, everything kind of aligns. You know what I'm saying? That's how I say
I
it.
love how you put that. I listened to a lot of Earl Nightingale growing up, and he
Hmm.
talked about the same thing. He mentioned you can't have success until you have a successful product or a successful offering that you give the market. So a lot of people like to think about the money part first, but how often are we thinking about the value side of things? Matter of fact,
Hmm.
when you're having day-to-day conversations, Clarkson, how many times are people actually using the word value?
Rarely, rarely
It
ever.
doesn't come out of
It's
people's
that
mouth,
shit.
bro. Like,
Yeah.
so the whole idea of giving value, like what?
Yeah.
Yeah, we live in a world of give and receive. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
when you breathe, right? Even when you breathe, what happens next? You breathe in, you breathe out. So that's the natural flow of life,
Hmm.
in and out, yin
Yeah.
and yang, give and take. So I love how you
Facts.
made the analogy between money and spirituality, and you also mentioned energy portion, right? That one is
Hmm.
going to go over a lot of people's heads. I think it was Tesla who said, if you want to understand the universe, think of it in terms of energy, right?
Hmm.
And so when you think about energy, right, it at some point what energy ends up doing is manifesting itself into some sort of physical medium, right?
Hmm.
Uh when you have high vibrational energy, which is energy that's moving around fast, it'll usually manifest itself into a currency. A currency is something we trade at high volume, but a lower frequency medium of energy would be something like a building, right, or a house, because those aren't changing hands as
As
frequently.
frequent. Yes. Yep.
They're sitting there, just in time and space, just there. So those are examples of a lower vibrational frequency type property when it comes to energy manifesting
Hmm.
itself as something. And so I
Yeah.
love how you said that. And so that's why it's so important to really like train our minds. I noticed like when you understand thermodynamics, you're training your mind to understand how energy works. And if you're thinking negative thoughts, it has to manifest itself because that's what energy does. And more importantly,
Bingo.
it manifests itself into something physical or some sort of a real life experience that you'll actually have. So, I appreciate you
Hmm.
for even, making that analogy.
No,
And then finally,
100%.
money is a hard conversation to have, bro. Like, how often are you actually having that conversation about money with your family?
Man, every time I try, it's like it's this brick wall. Boom, every time. Because
Yep.
it's a rough topic because, like I said before, everybody's perception of money is different. That's the thing. See, my perception of money isn't like most people. My perception of money, when I talk about money, when I even think about the concept of money or business, I think about it in the same aspects of a relationship. People's like, "What, Clocksyn? What you talk about?" Yeah, you think about a relationship. What do you need in a relationship? You need bonding. You need reciprocation, don't you? You know what I'm saying? You need sharing. You know what I'm saying? You need equality. You know what I'm saying? And that's equity. So when you think of business, think about it in a perspective of a relationship. What do
Mhm.
you want in a perfect world, in a perfect relationship? What would you want? You want equal give and
Oh,
take. You know what I'm saying? You want
yeah.
them to, you know what I'm saying, feel the same way. So when you talk about money, when you give, like we talked about before, the value, when you add on to the value, you want that to be reciprocated. You want to have, like we always say this term, money work for you instead of you working for the money. So when you
Mhm.
approach money from a perspective of a relationship and vice versa, approach the relationships in your life as a business in a way. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't just want anybody to be your business partner. You want them to be trustworthy, don't you? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So we can take these principles that we already know that damn near everybody knows. Like, everybody has a concept of what a good friend is in a way. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I can trust this person. This person's loyal. These principles we can take into business, into money, and use those same principles. It's not some crazy foreign thing. Oh, I don't know about money. I don't know about business. No, those principles are some of the same principles in things like relationships. So that's how I try to teach people to just look at money differently. And then once we get there, then we can actually have a comfortable conversation about money without feeling, oh, he's trying to take this, or you know what I'm saying?
You
So
get that a lot? Like
a
people like, "Oh,
lot.
I know where you're going with this."
Yeah, I think it's every time. It's like, oh, here we go with this. I'm like, brother, I'm trying to add on to you and increase whatever you
Yeah,
got going so we can potentially
yeah.
work together, start a business, whatever, you know what I'm saying? That's
Mhm.
my mindset. Most people aren't even on that frequency. So when they hear money, like, oh man, he's trying to scam me or something. It's like, wow, that's crazy. So that's the that's a fact. It's
I
definitely
think
a
that
perception.
really comes out of love at the end of the day, right? I'm of the mindset because, myself, I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. So I'm a technology maximalist, I'm a fire maximalist, I'm electricity maximalist. These are the
Okay.
things that I'm a maximalist in. And so I think the best thing you could do for your family and friends is to have that conversation, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Like,
First.
it's because I love you. And the other day, I actually went to a Bitcoin event and met other Bitcoiners. and I asked them a simple question. I'm like, who do you talk to on a daily basis about Bitcoin? And they were like, everybody had the same answer. Nobody. Nobody. I,
Damn.
who are you going to talk to? And so it's so interesting because, like you said, money is a tool, right? The tool is supposed to intermediate trade. So the deeper our trade networks are, the deeper our divisions of labor can be, the more wealth we can create, the more problems we can solve. The problem is, across the world, you have 200 something countries with 200 different currencies. And you have these regional monopolies all across the world. And what you have is these little fractured pockets of control, or these fractured pockets of society, where if I go into this jurisdiction, this is the currency I have to use, or if I go into that jurisdiction. But those fractured pockets create it makes it harder to trade, so it inhibits trade. It enables taxation, it enables inflation, it inhibits the free flow of goods and services. And so fractured money ultimately leads to fractured society. So I honestly feel when we bring these conversations up to people, it's just out of love.
Yeah, no, I agree too. And like you said, that was a big thing you touched on earlier with the whole environment thing. 'Cause that's one of the biggest things we never talk about is who are you talking to about these things? Your environment is what shapes you, especially over time as you grow. If you're in the wrong environment, it's only so far you can get. You got to have like-minded people around you to facilitate that new idea or that new mental paradigm that you're in. Like with me,
Mm-hmm.
there were people who inspired me to write my book. I didn't just be like, oh, I'm gonna write a book and it just happened. It's not magical like people think. It's a progressive type of thing. I was taking in new information over time. Like, damn, I aspire to be similar to these type of people. So in order to do that, I have to emulate some of the things that they do. So I took that into that level of inspiration, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna write my own book. So with just that, you can take that same thing and apply it to money. You talk to people, you listen to people, you hang around people who are making that money. That's going to inspire you to want to go make some money. To want to go,
Yeah.
okay, you know what? Let me get into crypto. So if you know that you can be inspired, I purposely put myself in a situation to be inspired. I purposely influence myself in the most positive ways possible to improve myself. You know what I'm saying? And that goes
Wow.
back to mental health. Like if you wanna get right, put yourself in those situations. It's not gonna just magically happen.
Yeah.
So when we talk about money, you want to get your money right, be around people who got their money straight.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to them, ask them questions. That's how it's gonna happen. That's what I would say.
I think one of the most profound things my dad ever said was, people rather live in inflation. They don't want to talk about it.
I never heard that
I don't
before.
want to talk about it. I'd rather just live in it. They say, I don't
Mm.
know who discovered water, but it damn sure wasn't a fish. And
Oh.
inflation, inflation is one of the most egregious taxes ever inflicted upon humanity, because it sneaks in on you, right? Like, you don't see it on a pay stub. You're not seeing it on your balance sheet. It's just sneaking in, right, through the form of higher prices. So this is how we're the ones who pay for the wars. We're the one who pays for these projects that aren't necessarily auspicious towards human life. We pay for these government ambitious projects. Oh, we want to build a wall, or hey, we want to build a new bridge, or hey, we want to do something environmentally friendly. Well, I'm the one who got to pay for that because you want to be able to print money out of nowhere. And honestly, if I'm an entrepreneur, how can I plan for the future if I don't know what the monetary policy is going to be in the next 30 days? So that's another question I want to ask you. Like, in your opinion, how is crypto redefining traditional business models?
Mm, that's big. I would say, how can I break this down? It's like its own special entity, because like I think I was watching one of your podcasts when you was with Double R. Yeah, I was talking about how the,
Mhm.
the the annual yield is so much higher than regular currency, like with regular banks, you know,
Mhm.
and it's like that fact alone just proves certain elements about crypto and how different it is, like how it's its own engine, its own entity in a way. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
we can recognize the true power of cryptocurrency and how it's changing the economical structure of the world. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
If we could see those types of things, just the fact that, you know what I'm saying, how it's traded and all those types of things, if we can understand that, I think we would be in a better situation. We wouldn't be so scared of it either. We wouldn't be so scared of crypto because the power of crypto. Like I was doing deep studies. Like I even brought my book just to sharpen up on it a little more. You know what I'm saying? And I was like,
Wow.
damn, yeah. I was like, damn, just the power of crypto itself is like, it's a whole nother thing. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I don't know. I can't necessarily I don't want to give a direct cookie cutter answer to it, but it's
Yeah.
like, you know, it's more like a multiplier in a way. I want to say it's like a
Hmm.
multiplier. You know, it's
Hmm.
just if we were to really understand what crypto is and collectively, let's go back into group economics. If we were to like collectively really hone down on cryptocurrency, we'd be we'd be in a better situation as a whole. The inflation wouldn't hit us as much as it's hitting us now. You know what I'm saying? Because like most people don't even understand what inflation is. You know, so oh, it's just a
Yeah.
dollar more. It's just a dollar. Gas just went up a dollar. Yeah, but overall, do you see that? You know, like that on a mass scale, that's huge. So
Wow.
I think crypto is honestly the balancing factor to inflation. I would say that.
Wow. I'm actually glad you said that. I want to show you this chart right here. It might be a little hard to see,
You said,
but this is pretty much what the cost of living looked like uh in 1971, right? So you had the average income around $10,000, right?
mm-hmm.
Uh a new house cost you about $25,000. A new car about 3,500. The average rent was $150. Tuition at Harvard University was $2,600. A movie ticket was $1.50.
Whoa.
Gasoline was 40 cents, and a U.S. postal stamp was about 8 cents. So, like you said, so for somebody to sit up and ignore inflation, but will gladly pay the difference on that, um, you're basically saying you're okay with your son paying $40 for a Big Mac.
Duh.
Like,
Golly.
in
Yeah.
what regulatory environment is that okay? And when you look at what technology has done since the beginning of time, Clocksyn, it's supposed to make everything cheaper, not more expensive. So when you think
Bingo.
about the tractor trailer, right? The tractor trailer was uh it wasn't a net benefit to humanity because it put a lot of people out of work. It was a net benefit to the people who had money and could afford to invest in them. What it did was it allowed one man to be able to do 100 men's job. So technology makes humans almost indispensable in a way. So pretty much what you have is you have things like the cell phone dematerializing a lot of the physical objects we used to carry around. For example,
Mm,
we no longer have to carry calculators with us, right?
bingo.
Um, Technology has dematerialized it. We no longer have to carry flashlights. I don't have to walk into a bank necessarily. The bank app is right there on my phone.
Right.
We've dematerialized the weatherman.
Mm,
Fill in the blank, but that's what technology does. So, like the first computer, I can understand if the first computer was $1,000 or $2,000, but now you can go buy a laptop for $250. So as we scale and the technology to create this stuff gets better, it's supposed to get cheaper over time. But how
mm.
did it become normal to allow your purchasing power to deteriorate at 2% a year? Because that's what the Federal Reserve tell us the inflation rate is, right? Oh, 2%. That's a sign
Yeah.
of a growing economy.
Mm.
No, because in 15 years, I'm losing half of my wealth pretty much. Like, or in
Exactly.
25 years, half of my wealth is gone. But
Because when the price is going up, we're not making more. It's just going up. So that's the imbalance.
absolutely, absolutely. And wages don't necessarily keep up with inflation over
Ex-
time. Like
right there.
one more chart I would like to show you is actually the income versus what the wages looked like, right? So this chart right here, it shows us basically how basically what you see going up. The arrow is representative of 1971. That was a very interesting year in American history. But the
Mm.
yellow and blue line that you see is the price of houses going up, the median price of houses. The yellow and black line is the wage rate. So wages didn't go up nearly as fast as we seen the prices of home rise. So it used to take, if we take a look at this chart right here, it used to take on average before 1971, 2.5 years to save for a house. But
Mm.
today it takes three times the amount of time to do so. So Boxing, why would I wait 6.5 years or 6.8 years before I can buy a house when I can go to the bank and they can finance it for me? Make it make sense, bro.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, that don't make sense.
So, so I feel
Don't make
like
sense.
the banksters at the end of the day is they're the ones running the whole charade. They're the ones pulling the strings. Um, we're the puppets and they're the ones pulling all the strings.
This
And a
goes
lot
back
of
into crypto now. So this
and
goes
that's
into
how we
crypto
got
because
here.
yeah, because the banks at this point we're coming to a point where we don't need the banks anymore necessarily. When it comes to transferring of assets, because the crypto is decentralized, so that's just from person to person.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
yeah,
And when you think about how banks came about, I mean, it makes sense, right? Because the purpose of living is to obtain property, right? Like, who are you if you own nothing?
right.
Who are you? And
Yeah.
so thousands of years ago, if I was a wealthy individual and gold was my preferred store of value, the wealthier I became, the more inconveniencing it became to hold on to that gold, right? Um, because I got a higher security 24/7. I just want to take my lady to the lake. I just want to take her to the lake. It's our anniversary. Let's go to the lake. But no, I gotta have security because I'm worth so much. And if I leave my money back at my palace or my gold back at the palace, I gotta have some guards there watching the gold too. So
Right.
you can't really scale it. You need guns, you need people, you need steel, you need concrete, you need carbon. It's unscalable. So what we did was we said, look, I got this warehouse. You can put your gold inside of this warehouse, and I'll give you what's called a warehouse note. And this warehouse note will tell people what you own at this warehouse, how much gold you own. You can take this warehouse to a merchant that's hundreds of miles up the road, and he'll know, okay, boom, I can redeem it here. But what happens when the warehouses start issuing too many notes? And
Mm-hmm.
then everybody come back to that warehouse like, hey, I would like my gold. There's only one thing the warehouse can do: shut the doors.
That's a
And that's
fact.
how banking works today. If everybody went to the bank and demanded their money, they would have to literally shut the doors. So in order to keep this game going, you have to believe that your money is safe and available to you in the bank.
That's deep. And for those of you that
Mhm.
don't know the concept, he was just breaking down when he was talking about the trading of the papers, about the certificate showing how much gold they have. That's called a promissory note. And so
Mhm.
if we just look at that right there, promissory, I'm promising that this is how much this is worth. So even back then, money got to a point where the value of money was based on the word. Oh, I trust you to, you know what I'm saying? This is what it's worth. But nowadays, it's like it's not even backed by anything physical. It's literally just okay. It's worth this. It's worth that. Okay, then, and we all collectively agree on it, and that's what it is. So it's like I find that fascinating that we've got to a point where the value of money is really just our own. I mean, I guess it's always been like that to an extent, but now more than ever, money, the value of money is really just our collective agreement of it. It's really all it is
Mm.
at this point, you know. So when you come to that conclusion, cryptocurrency doesn't seem so crazy, you know, because we've come to a collective point of if we can all put our value into one collective thing, that then it is so. It is valuable because we all say it is, you know. And since we all live in this society, that's one thing we can agree on, which means we can
Yeah.
transact with it. So, yeah,
And I heard
makes
a buddy of
sense.
mine say the other day that money is just a piece of paper backed by nothing. And I had to politely disagree. I'm
There you
like,
go.
money is not a piece of paper. Money is whatever the hell enough people believe it is. So in 1634, you probably heard of this time period before. The name of this period is called Tulip Mania, right?
Mm.
So over in Holland, right, they came across these tulip bulbs, and these tulip bulbs were said to be from the garden of Constantinople, which is now known as Istanbul now. But these tulip bulbs were said to be rare plants from that garden, and so people associated a lot of value with them. And this period lasts for maybe about 4 years. Year three, it was pretty much at its peak, where these rich people were literally selling their homes, mortgaging their homes, selling their assets off to get more tulips. It got to the point to where one tulip bulb, I think it was called a viceroy strand, one bulb could get you 5 horses, 8 fat pigs, a brand new carriage, and a tin pan. Like this one bulb could buy you that much. So that's how much value. I'm kind of understating the value. There was actually a lot more it could get you, but I just want to give you an idea of what one tulip bulb could do in 1634 in Holland. And so
Mm.
these people put all of their they sold off all of their actual physical assets to, invest in more tulips. At the time, it was a speculative asset, and it was also on their stock market. This is mind blowing. You guys putting tulips on the stock market? Well, the economy eventually got flooded with them, and everybody found their wealth wiped out literally overnight.
Mm.
So we see what happens when we try to make tulips our money. So you have to choose a money that has the following principles. The money you choose has to have scarcity. Nobody should be able to appear with it or
Right.
just snap their finger and make more of it.
Mm.
It should also have portability. I should be able to move it through time and space easily. Like I told you, the more wealthier I become in gold, the harder it is to move it through time and space easily without
Mm.
having to spend a lot of money. Scarcity and portability. The third one is it has to have durability. So it can't be nothing that rots after 30 days, like an apple or something. A few days, that apple is no good.
Yeah.
Um, it also has to have divisibility, and divisibility, like the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar actually only divides about 100 times. You can divide it into 100 pennies,
Mm-hmm.
but one Bitcoin can be divided 100 million times. So when you talk about divisibility, this is the thing that has the most divisibility out of any type of money we've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, so it has to have those principles in order to be considered a solid money. So that's the reason why paper was actually more efficient. It's like, okay, it holds its
Yeah.
form over time. I can carry it through space. It's durable. And the fifth quality is recognizability. Like if this money ain't recognizable in Hong Kong and China and the West Indies and Holland, I can't use it as a money. It has to be something everybody can look at and be like, I recognize that. That's $1. Let me get that.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. You said that. I have a question for you though too. When it comes to cryptocurrency, let's talk about the future for a second.
Okay.
When do you think cryptocurrency will become the industry standard? I guess for just trading money wise, like the regular people on the street. When do you think it'll be the quote unquote casual currency? You think it'll be after the
Mm.
government says, okay, now since the government accepts it and we, I'm saying, have our own government coin, then everybody, the regular population starts treating it like something normal? When do you think that'll happen? Like what year?
Um, so again, like I don't have a crystal ball, so I can't tell you what year,
Yeah.
but I can tell you this: there is a rate at which paradigm shifts take place, and Bitcoin is a paradigm shift for humanity. Um, it's an IQ test. So my IQ have to be at a certain level for me to understand why this thing is relevant in the first place. And so when I tell you there's a natural rate or speed at which things have to happen, when it comes to like commercial airlines, I heard Michael Saylor talking about this. Commercial airlines, right? They can't fly faster than the speed of sound, literally, because going faster than the speed of sound, you'll rip the wings right off of the plane. So they have a commercially standard speed at which they have to travel and no faster. So when it comes to paradigm shifts, you can't violate the laws of physics. This thing has to take time. So I wouldn't want to wake up tomorrow to a Bitcoin being worth $1 million. The reason why I wouldn't want to wake up in that reality tomorrow is because I'm out. I wouldn't. Not, this little $5 I'm spending per week ain't gonna buy me 16,000 satoshis anymore. It's only gonna buy me like one or two. So I would like for this process to take a little bit of time, so that way I can accumulate as much as I can while that process is taking place. Um, when you talk about like the when part, like when will we see mass adoption? I think it's going to be when we start experiencing so much hyperinflation that you can't even afford to keep the money in your pocket no more. I joked about a scenario to where my wife is pregnant and and I know I need to get to the hospital, but I got this money and I got to go spend it because by the time I get to the hospital and the baby is delivered, I'm fucking broke and the money is worth nothing. So, so with that being said, would it get to a point to where you're literally watching your purchasing power deteriorate, like what we're seeing in Africa, like what we're seeing in Argentina, like what we're seeing in Lebanon and El Salvador? We have to have pain inflicted upon us as a mass in order to ask ourselves, what is the solution?
Wow, that's an interesting answer. Okay, so it's gonna take time, but eventually, okay.
And if you think about it, it's happening, right? It's happening. And so go back to 2009 and you watched all of those those frontiersmen who had to walk through the door first. These people were crucified. Like the earlier developers in this thing were crucified. They were bashed. They were treated with this level of austerity that you would not want to go through. But they walked through the door and got shot first, so that way we can walk through the door safely. So now we're looking at, we already got the first country that adopt Bitcoin as their main currency. That is El Salvador is the very first domino to fall. When one domino
Mm,
falls, there's more behind it to fall with it.
yeah.
This process is going to happen, and the process is called hyper Bitcoinization. It's the process
Mm,
at which these countries start to wake up and these central banks start to realize that they're running out of time to rationalize, because these are their only two options: adopt it now and buy it while it's cheap, or we keep printing money and we inflate the price and we can no longer afford it. The more money they print, the more they inflate asset prices. So they're making it harder and harder to obtain it.
mm,
And when central banks do start buying it, they have to do it at a very slow pace, because if they do it too fast, they'll alert all the other central banks around the world and they'll start a race. So it's best to do it in small increments and very slowly.
mm. That's interesting. You said that. What about the trust factor of the cryptocurrency? Because I was around a lot of people who, when it was at like its peak, right, which was like I think what $60,000, something like that for one,
Mhm.
and then when it dropped, everybody's like, "I told y'all, cryptocurrency was a scam. I told y'all."
Yeah.
Could you talk about that, like the trust factor and how that's going? It's going to take a long time for the general population to get it, especially when they see things. 'Cause especially our people, when we see something like that, it's like, oh man, if my money could drop that low, I'll never invest in something like that. Not
Yeah.
understanding how the system even works. Could you talk about
Yeah.
that?
So yeah, I don't like to think of Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency. Like I actually
Mm,
hate the word cryptocurrency, if I'm being honest. I like to
nice.
think of it as a crypto asset, right? Because if I'm using something as my money or my currency, it shouldn't be, the value of it shouldn't be fluctuating. This $1 should buy me this. And if I'm an entrepreneur, I should be able to plan for that in the future. that if I stack a certain amount of dollars, I'll be able to buy this. And so my
Right.
light just went out on me. Sorry about that.
You good.
Let me turn this up. All right, perfect. So so when it comes to like volatility, right?
Mm.
Volatility is nothing but a function of price discovery. This asset is just trying to figure out where do I belong, like on the spectrum of pricing. And so a lot of people think it's a bug in the system. Like, no, why is this happening? Why is it fluctuating? It's more of a feature. It comes with the territory. And people who've been in this space since 2009 understand that you have to be able to stomach that volatility. So when it comes to the trust factor, I mean, do you trust your government? Do you trust that they won't try to steal your wealth via inflation?
Bingo.
Or answer this question. If you had a money printer in your basement, do you trust yourself to not use it because you think it's gonna ruin humanity and raise the prices of everything? Come on now, we being honest human beings here. If I had it in my basement, I would use it with no remorse. So do you trust
Heck
humans?
yeah. Mm.
Because that's been our issue since the beginning of time. Like, I have to trust you. I have to trust if I'm doing business with you, if I'm trading a service with you, I have to trust that you're going to give me the same level of quality in your product that's in my product. And so when you ask yourself, okay, who do I trust? And you realize you can't trust anyone because the temptation to steal is, or take from others or take advantage of others will always be there. It's
Yeah.
embedded in our DNA. I seen a video the other day where some gentlemen were standing in a 7-Eleven and the clerk had a heart attack while they were in the store. And they looked at him like, oh, wait, what should we do? And instead of helping them, they went behind that counter, took all the money out the register, and took cigarettes, and they left out the store.
Dang.
I don't even want to say they're bad guys. They were young people.
Mm.
It's just that when the temptation to take something is there and it's so strong, you're incentivized to do it.
That's
So
true.
right now we live in a system that you're incentivized to be the bad guy. You're incentivized to go get yourself in ungodly amounts of debt right now and take out ungodly amounts of loans. Because guess what? You can always file bankruptcy.
Mm.
You can always file bankruptcy, and if you do what Sam Bankman-Fried did, fraud billions of dollars from investors, guess who got your back? The lender of last resorts, the wealth reserve mafia, aka the Federal Reserve.
Mm.
They,
Okay, let's.
so you asking yourself like, okay, do I trust humans
Mm-hmm.
or do I trust a decentralized protocol, the strongest computing network humanity has ever seen, that no malicious actor who has billions of dollars worth of resources can change this protocol, no matter if even if they wanted to? Which one do you trust? And everybody has to make that decision for themselves.
Yeah, I would trust the decentralized platform because, like you said, people we can always change up. There's always going to be a small level of change, and I don't know for sure. And it's like life is like that, if you're not gonna do something because you're not 100% absolute sure of it, then it's a lot of things you ain't gonna do in life.
Hmm.
There's always a
Hmm.
small risk factor. So I definitely don't like to hear that from people when they say, "Oh, I don't know 100% for sure." You don't know if you live tomorrow for sure. You gonna stay in your house all the time? You don't know. So,
Hmm.
but now I like what you said too about the incentives too, and the incentives to like what we all do. You know what I'm saying? Collect up on debt and whatnot. So what about the incentives of cryptocurrency? Like, because I feel like media and the propaganda and just society in general pushes certain narratives. So, what is your perspective on how society pushes the view of cryptocurrency and how that implements people's minds? Like how they talk about it on the news, cryptocurrency. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, people who don't really know much about it are being asked to have an opinion on it. Even guys like, you can tell in about 20 seconds, maybe less, if somebody is actually educated on the subject. Like, let them talk for a minute and they'll tell you, like, they'll advertise their own ignorance. So we're asking presidents and news anchors and congressmen and officials to make an opinion on something they know absolutely nothing about. And so I want to say a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, Congress issued every senator and Senate uh, they issued everybody a copy of the Bitcoin standard. Like, hey, in order for us to all get on the same page, y'all, everybody has to read this book. And so I'm pretty sure they read the book in a day as fast as they read through these bills that they pass, right? They was probably done in less than 24 hours. But so yeah, so when you got all these people who don't really know much about it giving an opinion on it, I think that can that can actually skew the overall perception of it. But that's why I'm big on telling people, like, I don't want you to spend your money on Bitcoin. Don't spend your money on it. Spend your time understanding why it matters. What are the implications of this technology? What are the implications of being able to protect a piece of information through time and space? So when you look at like like if presidents need to communicate with each other, I think Trump got in trouble. He was on a phone call with President Zelensky. That phone call was transcribed into a document, and Trump removed that document, or he put it in the classified section. Like, most people don't go in the classified library and read and from those documents, but they picked it out of the classified section and seen the things that him and Zelensky was talking about. Now, imagine if that phone call was transcribed on a blockchain instead, and in order to be able to see it, you would have to have a private key to unlock the message. That information could be protected more, it could be a little bit more valuable. So with this being a new paradigm, we all have to ask ourselves, what are the universal overtime implications that we're all going to be experiencing in real time?
Wow, I never thought about that. A practical aspect to the
Mm-hmm.
blockchain. That's genius, actually. Damn.
Mm-hmm. Because that's all it is, bro. It's money is just information, right? And so when it comes to like even things like property, right? You had the Mesopotamians. They used to indict their property rights or ownership on stone tablets. Stone tablets used to be their ledger, basically. Like, hey, this is who owns that big ass plot of land over there.
Mm-hmm.
His name is right here indicted on
Yeah,
this rock.
in ledger.
And so what happens if I destroy that stone tablet? What happens to that person's ownership? When
Right.
odds up for grabs is he say, she say, who has the most physical power to be able to protect this property?
Right.
How do you know you own your house today? The police would be like, do you own this house? How do I know? What you would bring them? You bring them your
Piece of
deed.
paper.
Okay, here's the
Yeah.
deed. You bring them a piece of paper. So we don't even use stone tablets anymore.
Bring a piece
So
of
when you
paper.
think about when it comes to physical property, what is your property protected by? If it's your house, it's just protected by, I guess the military, I would say, because it's like, all
Yeah, I
right, boom,
guess.
you got to put me out my house and I own this house. I'm gonna call 911, right? And
Right.
then the police don't show up and be like, hold on, what's going on? This is his house. And then if the person like, no, this ain't his house, F you and F you, now we gotta get the military involved and somebody pull some guns out. Shit. So it's like
Right. It
our
always
guns.
leads up to that. Mm-hmm.
That's where it leads up to at the end of the day when it
Every
comes to
time.
like property.
Every time.
So this is why I say, Clocksyn, bro, and I really want you to think about this, man. You don't own anything, bro.
Mm.
You don't own anything. Think about this, bro. When the American experiment was happening and you had those Europeans traveling from Europe over to places like New York and Jamestown, right? When those early settlers were settling in those civilizations, they were running experiments. They like, all right, well, this my land right here. That's bro land over there. He got money. That's his land. But nobody else can ever own this. This is ours. So they just chopped the land up between the 10 richest families and was like, all right, that's your land, your land, your land. And boom, anybody else who come over here, y'all can get a job, y'all can work for us. But no matter how hard you work, you can't own shit. And so people are like, well, it's better than living in Europe under the regime of the British, where I know damn well I can't even be free. I can't even believe the things I want to believe. But the thing about those early settlers is, you had the Quakers, you had the Saxons, the Anglicans, the Catholic, So you had these different ideologies and religions, and the Quakers like, hey, you can't wear hats or smile on Sundays and shit like. So you were under these regimes where you still couldn't own. So what you did was the saying was travel west, go west, young man. Any advice you would give to a youngin, you would tell him, look, just go west. That's why they came across the Pacific in the first place. So it's like, all right, well, I can't own shit if I live in New York. Let me travel. Let me walk over to Philly or Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And they like, wait, well, if you work here, yeah, you can own something. It's like, okay, boom. So now I can get me a house. Oh, wow, this is my house. Except the government want to put the transcontinental railroad through it. So no, it's not your house. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So when I say you can't own anything, like if it's physical property in somebody else's jurisdiction, it's really theirs until further notice.
Mm-hmm. You're just what are you? A partial or temporary controller in a way, but not even that to
You're
a
a tenant.
degree.
You're a tenant.
Yeah, you're a tenant. Yeah,
You're a
that's
tenant.
crazy. Hmm.
And so if it's anything physical, I can just use a gun. I think the gun is the thing that has one of the highest values in the universe physically.
Yeah,
The
can't argue
gun,
with that one. Can't
the
argue with that
gun,
one.
right? I
Yeah.
often do this analogy, and I got my so yeah, this analogy I like to run, right? I ask myself, imagine you own $1 million warehouse in the busiest city in America, New York, right?
Mhm.
And a genie grants you a wish, and he say, look, I'll grant you whatever wishes as it pertains to this warehouse. How can I help you, Clocksyn? You might be
Mm.
like, well, shit, my warehouse already worth 1 million. Can you make it indestructible? Like, I don't want a tornado to be able to destroy this warehouse because that's gonna mess up my cash flow. So
Right.
the genie grant that wish for you. And you're like, um, okay, well, my building is stuck on this corner in New York. Can you make it to where I can teleport the building across time and space at the speed
Yeah.
of light? And so the genie, like, all right, I got you. Anything else I can help with? Yeah, the other day I seen a homeless man walking past. He was just looking like he had this malicious look in his eye. I don't want him to be able to see my building. Can you make the building like invisible to anybody that might want to do it some harm?
Mm.
And the genie, like, I got you. So
Right.
now, Clocksyn, you started with $1 million warehouse, but now you have a warehouse that's indestructible. It's teleportable across time and space, and it's invisible to anybody who might want to do you harm. Is
Mm.
that building still worth $1 million?
Nah, it's worth more.
Ungodly amounts more. You know what
Way
I mean?
more.
So,
Way more.
so when it comes to Bitcoin or digital
Ah.
property has all of those characteristics.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
It's real estate without all of the defects. That's what I'm saying.
Mm. Mm.
Most real estate developers couldn't tell you what the crippling defects are.
Mm.
On top of like maintenance and shit, taxes.
It's like the perfect asset. Damn.
The perfect asset that you can own. You're not a tenant.
Mm.
You can store it in your memory.
Yeah. And there's we don't even have to have in between banks. You can actually have the crypto and the physical too.
You can
On
have it in
top
a
of that.
physical too.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
ultimately, it can be hidden inside of your memory where
Yeah,
nobody,
because
even if they had a gun,
because
could
even if
get
they
it from
take the
you.
USB, if they don't got the phrase, they can't. Yeah, you're
If you
right.
ain't got it, it
That's a
don't
fact.
matter.
So the
So
real
it's the
value is
best
really,
form of property. You know what I mean? And so when you look at history, Clocksyn, history is full of divide and conquer, right?
yeah.
When those Europeans traveled over here, it wasn't like this place was uninhabited.
Yeah.
They took it from somebody. When Christopher Columbus and his brother Bartholomew,
Yeah.
thought they were traveling, they literally thought they could travel west and end up in China. They thought they could leave Spain and end up in China. But where did they end up? They end up in the West Indies. They're like, what the hell is this? Oh, well, this is the Bahamas. Hold on, what is this? So when word got back to Europe, what did they do, bro? Hundreds of thousands of settlers, like, we on our way. We heard about the New World. We got to see what's going on. So they traveled, and guys like Hernando Cortez, he went and conquered places like Mexico and Venezuela and places like that. And his ideology was, by divine right, everything here is ours, and anybody that we come across that don't look like us are considered aliens, and they automatically have to work for us. So they took the feudal mindset across the water with them.
Wow.
And they enslaved all of those people. And they said, y'all have to build our cities. So he seized all their gold, and he built the governments out and made them build the cities. So they naturally had to be slaves to them because they were conquerors, and they were some of the most vicious conquerors, bro. Like Mexicans, they can be very vicious, like cutthroat, ruthless type vicious, like very scary.
God,
Even
damn.
those deserted islands now in Mexico are very scary. Like the cartels, right, are
Yeah,
more powerful than the governments in Mexico.
I believe
It's
it.
been like that since those conquerors went over there.
Mm.
So even when it comes to gold, right, and how many times gold, not just land, but gold has been seized throughout time, and why you don't want to own physical property at the end of the day is because, like, it invites way too much violence. You had Julius Caesar invading Gaul to seize all their gold. You had Kublai Khan seizing gold. You had Pizarro seizing gold from all the Incas. You had Cortez taking gold from the Aztecs. You
Mm.
had Prussia taking gold from the English or in the French in 1871. In World War One, bro, everybody was seizing gold. Stalin was seizing gold from the church in 1922. Or actually, he seized gold from the Spaniards. Lenin seized gold from the church in 1922. In 1933, Theodore Roosevelt took everybody's gold. And then in 1940, what did you have? You had Churchill seizing gold from everybody after the onset of World War II.
Mm.
And then 1944, Bretton Woods Agreement. That was an agreement to peg the US dollar as the main currency. And they basically seized the world's gold, took it for hostage. And what happened in 1971? Richard Nixon killed all the hostages. That's why that was such a pivotal year. The year where our money was no longer backed by
Oh.
anything, by
Mm.
gold. So I want to show you this disturbing chart, right, from 1971. This chart right here is the Federal Reserve's balance sheet, right? So if you look at this chart, you will see that the balance sheet started to skyrocket in 1971, right? It went
Mm.
from like maybe like $500 billion to
Mm.
now over 23 trillion. That's a dramatic increase. And so 1971 was a very pivotal year for humanity. It's a year we'll be talking about for millennia.
That
The
was the
year
job.
we no longer decided to back our currency by anything physical.
Mm. Okay, that was the job. That was a turning point. Okay, and
Mhm.
so now, as far as where we at now, cryptocurrency is a new turning point. In the next 20 years, all these stats is gonna look completely different. It's gonna look
It's a
dramatic.
brand new frontier.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a brand new frontier, and we're the frontiersmen. We're the ones like, oh, what's out here? What can I own? What can I call mine? And so I think people have gotten to the point to where they're sick of being controlled. Like, how is it that I'm being punished for doing the right thing? How is it that I'm being punished for making the decision that I want to work hard and save my money? Why do the savers get punished? Because
Yeah.
somebody decided that they want to create more money out of nothing. This violates the laws of thermodynamics. what do we understand about thermodynamics? What is the first rule? It's the conservation of energy. It's the idea that energy cannot be created nor destroyed.
Yeah.
You understand? And so
Mhm.
for you to be able, what we say, money is energy. How is it that they can violate the laws of thermodynamics by creating more energy out of
Mhm.
nothing? So whoever designed Bitcoin obviously was an engineer. They obviously understood the laws of thermodynamics, creating a closed system where energy can't leave. It's a close or can't be added to it. You can't add more to it. It
Right.
just is what it is.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
just a
closed
transfer.
system that obeys the laws of thermodynamics. And so we always have to start from first principle.
Mm. And so when you think about it, the people who are like ex crypto and the people who don't like anything when coming to cryptocurrency, you're actually hurting yourselves. Especially if you live in this capitalistic society and you're anti
Mm,
cryptocurrency and anti Bitcoin, over time you're going to lose your wealth that you think you have. You know, you think you trust in the cash and these other values so much, you're actually losing out. So you're hurting yourself. So it goes back to what we talked about in the beginning. We're not doing this to sell you anything. We're actually trying to help people. You know what I'm saying? We are trying to help people. Like, this is not what people think it is. This is the next revolution of value in general. I'm going to work on. I'm working on this presentation I'm going to be presenting real soon called the art of value.
okay.
I go into the concept of what value even is. If I say this
Yeah.
is valuable, what makes it valuable? Like some of the properties you were saying, is it sustainable? Those types of things. I'm going to work on a lecture called the art of value, and I feel like if we can understand what value is, then we would be able to understand cryptocurrency way more. You know what I'm saying? We would be
Mm,
able to understand it way more. We would adopt it
yeah.
more. We would just like we jump on all this other crap. We would jump on this. You know. So no, that's 100%.
So another question, man. How has your spiritual journey like influenced your perspective on money and wealth overall?
Well, I learned that the essence of a man, right? This just goes spiritually. The essence of a man is what he can materialize from his mind, whether that be
Mm.
his family, his wealth, whatever. That's what it is, you know. If you can take a thought and materialize that into the physical universe, that's powerful. That's the act of God right there. Come on.
Alchemy.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So if you could do that, then that's powerful. So as a man or as it's a person in general, you have to break down that process, that mathematical process. How do you do that from inception to conception? How do you do that?
Mm.
You know, so money is one of the pivotal factors in this society because we have to think about where we are now. Yeah, we can think philosophical, but in the reality, how do we bring something into existence in the world that we are in now? You know what I'm saying? So
Wow.
money is one of the pivotal tools to do that. So 100%. That's why I always talk about spirituality and money is hand in hand because I can have an idea, I can have the
Mm.
concept. I'm like, okay, cool. I know exactly how I want to do it. I know where I want to do it. I know who I want to do it with. But how do I actually get it? You know, I need the pieces. How do I get the pieces? I need to acquire from someone else. I'm not going to just give it to me. I need to add value onto them. What's the centralized value system in this world? Money, currency, you know? So that's something I have to acquire in order to transfer energy to get, you know what I'm saying? We were just talking about energy. So if I want,
Wow.
if I'm a spiritual person and I'm learning how to transfer energy, the art of alchemy, what is that? That's the transference of energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the same as acquiring assets, money. It's the same thing. It's the same relationship, a give and take, positive,
Yeah.
negative. It's the same thing. So that's how I see it. It's just one of the greatest tools is in energy manipulation. That's what I would say. Money is yeah,
Man, I
it's
appreciate you for sharing that, brother.
100%.
You know, could you share any of your like personal practices or rituals that, help you stay grounded on the day to day?
Definitely. So what I like to do, right, personally, is when it goes back to the environment, right? So I make
Yep.
sure I'm around people on a consistent basis, but sometimes I'm not around, like-minded people all the time, every single day. So what I
Yep.
like to do is one of my personal things is make content. This might sound weird, but I'll make content, right, based on certain principles of my life. And then whenever I defer from that, I watch my own content. That's one of
Ah,
my
I
own
like that.
practice rituals. So I remind myself because it's a constant thing. We can have this great euphoria, like, oh wow, I figured everything out. And then next week, a month later, we lose it, you know? So it's
Yeah.
it's a constant thing. You know, it's not just a one boom moment. When I became Clocksyn, it's like, okay, I got it now. I'm good. No, it's constant efforts. Even when I created
Hmm.
Clocksyn, the whole point of me doing it was I was actually depressed when I created Clocksyn. I didn't know where I wanted to be in life. And I was
Hmm.
like, okay, how am I going to move forward? What I did was I implemented and I extracted all the positive principles of myself. So I had to do a lot of introspection. I learned what powers I have inside of me, what are my strong
Mm.
points. And when I identified that, that's when I came up with Clocksyn, you know what I'm saying? And so in that,
Wow.
all I really do is just try every day. I just try to strive to stick to my principles. That's really what I do. But my ritual is to stick to the things I've set my standards on and just keep moving with those principles. Over time, I'm going to gradually attract all the things that I need in my life. You know, so it's
Wow.
more of a reminding thing. I remind myself every day of who I am. You know,
Oh man. And you have to, right? I remember listening to Les Brown and he said every day you got to sell yourself again.
yeah, every
Who am
day.
I again?
Yep.
Why am I doing this again?
Facts. And you got to know who you are too. Knowledge of self is key because you can't remind yourself of what you don't know. What are you reminding yourself of? So I also
Right.
learn myself every day too. Who am I? Why am I how I am? You know, why do people like
Yeah.
me? All these types of, you know what I'm saying? I learn myself. I learn the people around me. I like to say, do the knowledge. I do the knowledge to people and myself. You know,
Ah,
yeah, and
beautiful, man.
that comes with three principles: knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Those are the three principles I want y'all to take. Anybody watching this, take these three principles. So, the start
Mhm.
of anything is knowledge. Okay, that's the foundation. Without knowledge, you can't have nothing. Once you
Okay.
acquire the knowledge, you can apply the knowledge with your wisdom. And then
Mm.
if you apply it correctly, the person you're talking to and yourself, y'all can both come to an understanding. All right. So knowledge, wisdom, understanding. One, two, and three. You can get that down pat. You can damn near accomplish anything right there.
That's a bar.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I'm gonna leave
Hey,
y'all with for sure.
oh
Yeah.
man, this is man. Look, I'm really enjoying this discussion. I know we've been on for an hour now. I don't want to go too much longer, but this is some real insight you offering here, man. In what ways do you think our education system need to kind of like evolve to be able to prepare the next generation for this digital financial era that we're entering?
I would say teach them things that are actually needed for one. And I would say just bare bones, just like certain standards. Like for example, coding should be in all the new schools. Coding should be in all the schools. Every single school. We should all know how to code. That should be an industry standard in the
Standard.
elementary using standard. You know what I'm saying? So I would say it's number one. And economics. We should have business classes. That should not just be only college. If that's how you're supposed to live in the world, like because most people don't even know school is to teach you how to be a slave to the workforce. It shouldn't be like that.
Mm,
In our regular school system, that should prepare you to live. You know what I'm saying, on your own. You should know how to buy your own house. You know what I'm saying? Make your own food, make your own clothes. That should be the basics. To live in the world, you should have the knowledge of how to live through, you know what I'm saying, school. So if school don't have that, that's a problem. So, you know
mm.
what I'm saying? And in this world, we definitely know about technology. So I think a technology class should be another staple. You know what I'm saying? In schools for sure.
Wow. Okay.
So,
Is it any like books or mentors that have significantly influenced your journey thus far?
whew. Now, okay, I would say this is as much as I advocate for books and whatnot, I learn better from lectures, like verbally, you know. So I could definitely recommend some mentors, but as far as books, yeah, some of the books that my mentors have as well. So one of my main mentors that most people know is this brother named General Hellraiser. That's like my main mentor. You might not know him, but yeah, him
Mm.
right there. He taught me just really how to think in the greatest ways possible. I would not be Clocksyn without this brother. So y'all go check him out. General
Wow.
Hellraiser.
General
He has
Hellraiser.
General Hellraiser. Yep. He has some books as well on business economics. He has a trust book that I just recently got called Trustology. It's all about trust and business trust
Wow.
and business credit, all that. So
I need that.
yeah, I can send it to you. Don't even worry about it.
I need that.
Yeah, I
I'm
got
really
you.
bad on trust when it comes to like business, right? And that's the foundation of being a good businessman. The ability to
Trust.
trust other people and be able to delegate certain activities. And
Facts.
right now, being a business owner of a media agency, I have an issue with trusting other people to edit this project or go shoot
Yeah,
that project to the standard at which I would shoot it at. So
bro.
I could really use a book like that.
Trust is everything. Trust is everything. Without trust, we have nothing. So
Hmm.
yeah, General Hellraiser. Um, it's not too many people I can think off the top of my head, but him, honestly, if you just start from him, he'll branch you off into so many other teachers too. So that would be a really
Mm,
good template, I would say. There's people out there who want to learn General Hellraiser. He's my personal
okay.
one, so it's a big one. As
Okay.
far as books, you could really just I got this one for cryptocurrency. This is just a staple. Y'all can check that out. The Everything Guide
Ah,
to Investing in Cryptocurrency. Um,
perfect.
you know, study how you want to study. I personally study from like super long lectures. I like to actually contact the people that I watch. Like a lot of the people that I used to admire, I still admire them today. But like a lot of the people that I found years ago, instead I actually
Hmm.
contacted them. We talk on a regular basis now. Like forget all that just watching from a distance. Nah, we chop it up. Like
Yeah.
the person I'll tell you about, General Hellraiser, we talked multiple times in person.
Wow.
Yeah, so like that's another thing. Learn physically from the people. Like go meet these people. The best advice you'll ever hear is from somebody straight from their words. Yes, you can get the books too,
Absolutely.
but like learn from them too. That's what I would say. So
Mm, okay.
100%. Yeah.
So, like in the realm of self development, how do you think understanding like digital currency and the evolving economy can benefit a individual?
Hmm. How could cryptocurrency benefit an individual?
Yeah, in the realm of self development.
Self development. Well, when it comes to self development, right? What is self development? We got to break it down to its core principle self, right? And so when you think
Mm,
about self is internal, but it's also external in a way. Because your cipher
mm.
is you. Like my mentor always told me, you are the 5 people you talk to, and you are your environment as well. So if you are your environment, what is your environment? Is your environment positive, negative? You know what I'm saying? Is it, you know what I'm saying? So if you can identify your environment, that is who you are. If you're in a negative environment, if you're in a poor environment, that is what you need to focus on. So when it comes to self development, it's not just internal. Self development also comes with financial growth. That is self development as well. Eating habits is self development. Working out, that's self development as well. Money is
Mm.
self development. Getting your finances right is self development. So cryptocurrency can directly tie to self development because that's your money. That's your standard of wealth. Increasing your wealth increases your self value and also increases your self. Because when you broke, you don't feel good, bro. You're like, man, if only I had this much money, man. Like, if I had this, but I don't. So then I gotta live in this reality. People like to say, oh, money
Hmm.
doesn't matter, but no, it does matter because of what you could acquire with it. So money. People hate to say, "Oh, money doesn't bring happiness," but when you break down what money is energy. So with an
Hmm.
abundance of energy, yes, you could acquire happiness because
Hmm.
especially if you know what to do with it. So yeah, money is like, especially how I see it. Money is a direct correlation to power. You know what I'm saying? Because money is energy, and an abundance of energy is power. That's what it is.
Wow.
And that's the value system
Wow.
of this world. The more money someone has in this economy, the more power they have because money can directly turn into influence into anything. So if you want to estimate someone's power level, it's it's damn near hand to hand with how much money they have to a degree.
Literally, like,
Yeah,
show me somebody that's powerful. They got troops spying on other countries and
yeah,
crawling under tunnels, and they don't have any money.
exactly. That don't make no sense. So yeah, that's how I would say the money directly goes hand to hand to it. So
And the final thing I want to bring up, man, when you think about us, our people when we were a civilization in Africa and we had sound money practices, we weren't incentivized to go to war with other nations, even if they
yeah,
were neighboring nations. We were more actually incentivized to like have a conversation and work out our differences because look, we got X amount of gold in our vault, and we
Yeah.
ain't trying to expend
Lose that.
resources fighting y'all.
None of that.
Because every fight, even if we know we could win this battle, we're still gonna lose something. We're gonna lose some of this gold in the vault, paying people to fight, or we're just gonna lose manpower. So y'all gonna kill off a good portion of the people here. So we were way more incentivized to be like, hey man, what y'all need? Let us know what y'all need. Okay, that's what y'all all right. Let's see what we can work out then. But what happens when you see like an army of 1,000,000 people coming into your territory? You're like, we ain't got this many people ready to fight. You're like,
Yeah.
how did this army get so powerful? Where did they get the gold? It's
Yeah.
like they didn't get the gold. They found a way to come up with alchemy practices and print money out of nothing. So
Yeah.
now they got more money to be able to pay buffoons to go travel into foreign land and try to
Yep.
conquer territory. So by us no longer having sound money practices, now we see more war. War is very profitable. Central banks love war. The
Yep.
Rothschild family loved war. They
Yeah.
financed both sides of every war. You
And
know,
the balance of power is tilted. They have so much power. It's like, damn, it feels hopeless at times. But collectively, we could definitely change that. We could definitely change that, especially if we all came together on a collective idea of, and if we understood how they even have that power. And most of us don't even know they have that power because of us. You know what I'm saying? We can realize how they feed off of our own energy. We would be able
mhm.
to reverse those things. So it's like, yeah, it goes deep for sure. It goes deep, 100%.
Hey, but listen, man, like I said, we've been talking for a minute. Let me make sure we don't have any comments worth mentioning. All right. Bro, I just want to say I appreciate you for joining me on this talk today,
Of
sharing
course.
some of your wisdom, some of your insight. This is actually our first time actually being able to go in depth. So your
Yeah.
vibe, your energy, brother, 100% look forward to doing it again. Make sure y'all follow my boy Clocksyn on Instagram, at Clocksyn. Also, my brother developed a book as well called The 8 Principles of Clocksyn. So make sure y'all check that out when it's ready. Is it available for people to purchase at all?
Yeah, but I would wait for like a week because I'm working on the second edition. I don't want y'all to get the
Okay.
the one that's out right now. Wait for the second edition. I
All
do
right,
have a
y'all. We got
podcast though.
we
Yeah, I do
got the
have
second edition on the way. And what's the name of the podcast?
the Clocksyn podcast. Definitely tune into that. It's on Spotify, YouTube. I go into all kind of topics, and I'm gonna try to get you on there soon too, brother, because I love this
Let's do it.
conversation. It's
Let's
beautiful.
do it, brother.
Yeah, let's do that,
I
y'all.
appreciate you for your time, man. Thank you. Look forward
No
to doing
problem.
it again.
100%. Peace and love, y'all. Peace.
Peace and love, man.